Imagine this. You have $10 million in your bank account. You already own a mansion, a private jet membership, and a garage full of exotic cars. Then Ferrari reveals its newest limited edition hypercar. Only a few hundred will ever exist. You call your Ferrari dealer and say, "I want one." Money is not a problem, but instead of taking your deposit, they tell you something almost unbelievable. You are not on the list, and there is nothing you can do about it. Because with Ferrari, having money does not always mean you can buy the car. In fact, for the rarest Ferraris, money is often the least interesting thing about you. Ferrari wants to know who you are, what cars you already own, how long you have supported the brand, whether you kept your previous Ferrari or flipped it for profit, whether you embarrass the brand online, and whether Ferrari believes you are the kind of person who deserves access to its most exclusive cars. That is why people say Ferrari can ban you from buying their cars. But the real truth is even more fascinating. Ferrari cannot usually stop you from walking into the used car market and buying a Ferrari from someone else. If a used Ferrari is for sale and you have the money, there is very little Ferrari can do to physically stop that private transaction. But Ferrari controls something much more valuable. It controls the front door, the official dealer network, the new car allocations, the limited editions, the invitations. And if Ferrari decides you are not the right customer, you may never get access to the cars that truly matter. Not the normal Ferrari sitting in a showroom, the special one. The car collectors wait years for. The car that instantly becomes a legend. The car that sells out before the public even knows it exists. That is Ferrari's real power. And it all starts with one simple idea. Ferrari does not sell transportation. Ferrari sells exclusivity. Most car companies want to sell as many cars as possible. They run ads everywhere. They offer discounts. They fight for market share. They want every possible customer. Ferrari works differently. Ferrari has spent decades building a world where owning one of its cars feels like joining a private club. The car is important, of course. The engine sound, the Italian design, the racing history, the red paint, the prancing horse badge. But the feeling of being chosen is also part of the product. If anyone with enough money could buy every rare Ferrari they wanted, the magic would disappear. So Ferrari makes sure demand is always bigger than supply. There are more rich people who want a special Ferrari than there are special Ferraris available. And once that happens, Ferrari gets to choose. This is where the allocation system comes in. For regular production models, a customer can usually work with an authorized dealer, choose a specification, place an order, and wait. It may still take time. It may still require a relationship with a dealer, but it is possible. For limited cars, the process is completely different. You do not simply walk in and order one. You get offered one. That is a huge difference. Ferrari and its dealer network know exactly who their most loyal customers are. They know who has purchased several Ferraris over many years. They know who services cars through official channels. They know who attends Ferrari events. They know who buys cars and keeps them. They know who has a serious collection. And when a new limited model is coming, those customers are often the first people considered. So imagine two people. The first person is a billionaire who has never owned a Ferrari before. He wants the newest limited hypercar because he thinks it will look amazing on social media. The second person has owned Ferraris for 20 years. He has bought multiple cars through the same dealer. He has kept them in perfect condition. He supports Ferrari events. He has a genuine connection with the brand. Who do you think Ferrari will choose? The billionaire may have more money, but Ferrari may choose the loyal collector because Ferrari is not only selling a car, it is protecting a long-term relationship. And that is why the word ban can be confusing. Ferrari does not need to put your name on a giant public blacklist. It does not need to send you a dramatic letter saying you are banned forever. It can simply stop offering you the special cars. No invitation, no allocation, no call, no chance, and for a serious collector, that can hurt more than any public ban. Because the rarest Ferraris are not just cars, they can become cultural objects. They can become auction stars. They can become the centerpiece of a collection. And sometimes, they can become worth far more than their original price. Which brings us to one of the biggest things Ferrari hates: flipping. Flipping is when someone buys a highly desirable car and quickly resells it for a huge profit. Imagine Ferrari sells you a rare car for $2 million. A few months later, you put it up for auction. Because demand is insane, someone pays $4 million. You just made $2 million without really doing anything. Sounds like an easy win. But from Ferrari's point of view, it creates a problem. Ferrari wants its limited cars to go to people who truly want to own them, drive them, collect them, and become part of the brand's world. Not people who see the car as a quick investment. Ferrari also wants control over who gets the car next, because every new owner becomes part of the Ferrari image. That is why certain Ferrari purchases can involve resale restrictions or a right of first refusal arrangement. In simple words, if an owner wants to sell, Ferrari or the dealer may want the first opportunity to buy the car back or decide where it goes next. The exact rules can vary depending on the car, the country, the dealer, and the contract. But the message is clear. Ferrari does not want its rarest cars immediately appearing on the market with a massive markup. And if someone becomes known for doing that, Ferrari may decide that person does not deserve another allocation. Think about how powerful that is. Ferrari does not have to take the car away from you. It does not need to sue you every time you sell. It can simply remember your name. Then, years later, when the next limited Ferrari is announced, everyone else gets a call. You do not. That is the punishment. Not losing the Ferrari you already own, losing access to the Ferrari you wanted next. And that brings us to the famous stories about celebrities. For years, the internet has been obsessed with the so-called Ferrari blacklist. You have probably heard the names: Justin Bieber, 50 Cent, Tyga, deadmau5, Nicolas Cage, Chris Harris. The stories are everywhere. But here is where we need to separate internet rumors from what is actually known. Ferrari does not publicly publish a celebrity blacklist. There is no official Ferrari website where you can search a name and see who has been banned. A lot of stories get repeated online until they sound like confirmed facts. Some may be based on real disputes. Some may be exaggerated. Some may be completely misunderstood. But one case is very real, and it perfectly shows how Ferrari thinks. The deadmau5 Ferrari story. deadmau5, whose real name is Joel Zimmerman, owned a Ferrari 458 Spider. And he did something most Ferrari owners would never dare to do. He turned it into a Nyan Cat-themed car. The Ferrari had a colorful wrap inspired by the famous internet meme. But he did not stop there. He also changed the Ferrari badges and branding. Instead of Ferrari, the car was called Ferrari. Instead of the famous prancing horse identity, there were custom cat-style badges. For the internet, it was hilarious. For deadmau5 fans, it was iconic. For Ferrari, it was a problem. Ferrari sent a cease and desist letter, and this is an important detail. The issue was not simply that the car had a wrap. People wrap exotic cars all the time. The bigger issue was the use of Ferrari-style branding, the altered badges, and the way the car was being presented and sold under the Ferrari identity. Ferrari is extremely protective of its trademarks. The prancing horse is not just a logo. It is one of the most valuable symbols in the automotive world. Ferrari has spent generations connecting that badge with Formula One, Italian craftsmanship, speed, wealth, and prestige. So when someone creates a parody version of the badge and puts it on a Ferrari, Ferrari sees a threat to that image. deadmau5 eventually removed the custom branding and returned the car closer to its original appearance. Now, did that automatically mean he was permanently banned from every Ferrari for life? Ferrari has not publicly released some official statement saying that, and that is exactly why this topic is so interesting. Ferrari's power is not always loud. It does not need a public courtroom battle. It does not need to post a celebrity's name online. The brand can simply decide who it wants to work with in the future. That uncertainty is part of the power. If you are a wealthy collector, would you risk losing access to future special Ferraris just to make a joke online? For most people, the answer is no, because the next allocation could be worth more than the attention, and deadmau5 was not the only person Ferrari has challenged over brand image. Ferrari has a long reputation for defending its trademarks and controlling how its name appears in public. There have been disputes involving custom logos, commercial use of Ferrari imagery, and people using Ferrari cars to promote products or businesses in ways Ferrari did not like. This is where people often get confused. Owning a Ferrari does not mean Ferrari owns your life. You can drive it, you can enjoy it, you can personalize parts of it. You can sell it, depending on your agreement and local laws. But if you use Ferrari's trademarks in a way that suggests Ferrari is connected to your business, your product, or your altered version of the brand, that is a different situation. A company has legal rights over its trademarks, and Ferrari protects those rights aggressively. That is why the phrase, "Ferrari bans people from modifying cars," is too simple. The reality is more complicated. A loud rap alone is not necessarily the issue. A custom wheel set alone is not necessarily the issue. A strange paint color alone is not necessarily the issue. The biggest problems usually appear when a person crosses into trademark use, resale restrictions, brand damage, or a broken relationship with Ferrari and its dealers. Still, the mystery makes the story more powerful, because Ferrari has built a brand where people believe the company is watching. And whether every rumor is true or not, the fear of losing access is real. Imagine you are offered a limited Ferrari. You know that thousands of people want it. You know that even billionaires cannot simply buy it. You know that the dealer chose you because of your history. Would you risk that relationship by immediately flipping the car? Would you replace the badges with a joke logo? Would you post something online mocking the brand? Maybe. But you would know there could be consequences. That is what makes Ferrari different from almost every other car company. Most brands chase customers. Ferrari makes customers chase the brand. And the brand has another weapon: time. Ferrari does not need to make a decision today. Maybe you buy one normal Ferrari. Maybe you buy another. Maybe you think everything is fine. Then 5 years later, the car you really want arrives. A new limited V12 Ferrari. A special series model, a track-focused masterpiece, a car that will probably never be made again. And suddenly, you find out that loyalty matters. History matters. Reputation matters. Ferrari may never say, "You are banned," but you may realize you are no longer part of the inner circle. That is why the Ferrari blacklist story never dies. It is not really about a list. It is about access. It is about the difference between being rich enough to own a Ferrari and being trusted enough to be offered the rarest Ferrari. And there is something almost genius about it. Ferrari has turned scarcity into a business model. The fewer special cars it makes, the more people want them. The more people want them, the more Ferrari can choose its customers. The more Ferrari chooses its customers, the more exclusive the brand becomes. And the more exclusive the brand becomes, the more valuable that little prancing horse badge feels. So can Ferrari really ban you from buying their cars? From buying any used Ferrari anywhere in the world? Probably not. From buying a regular Ferrari through every possible route forever? That is much harder to prove. But can Ferrari stop inviting you to buy its rarest cars? Can it refuse to allocate you a limited edition? Can it decide that another customer deserves the next special car more than you do? Absolutely. And for the people who truly want the rarest Ferraris, that is the only ban that matters. Because in Ferrari's world, money gets you close, but loyalty gets you inside. Subscribe to Elite Motors for more interesting car stories.